You all will be working through this video. I'm going to show you some basics in Onshape. You're going to create just a few simple designs and kind of learn a little bit more about the program before we move on. So in your classes, you'll see a new assignment 102, practice samples. You'll start, and it will start you with a new document once you open that assignment. Let me get back to my document here. Where did it go? So you'll start with a new document. I'm also going to be walking you through some keyboard shortcuts. So you might want to have a piece of paper and write down these keyboard shortcuts because these will be what you are tested on coming up next week. So these are your three work planes. One simple shortcut is the letter P. We'll activate those planes on and off. And if you look over here on the feature tree, when I hit P, they are now off and grayed out. You also see that they are hidden over here with the eyeball with the line through it. If I hit P again, now they are on as well. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a sketch. That is Shift S. That's going to create a new sketch. You can also click up here, but Shift S. It's asking us now for what sketch plane we want to be on. We're going to put this on the top, so I'm going to click top. You can also click top over here. Either one does not matter. Now, because I'm kind of at a slight angle here to my paper, I want to look directly at the paper. I'm going to hit the letter N. That is my normal view, so I'm going to look now down directly on top of it. We just did this the other day, just as a refresher. I'm going to use a circle tool. Again, center point circle tool is letter C. And I'm going to put that center point circle right here on the origin. I'm going to click there once, and then I'm going to move my mouse and click again. So it is 2 clicks. It's click to set it, and then move your mouse, click to determine the diameter. Once this box here is white, I can start typing. I don't need to click delete or anything. I can click return, and now I have a 50 millimeter diameter is this symbol here, 50 millimeter circle. So I can accept this sketch. Now I'm going to extrude it. So I'm going to hit the extrude button or Shift E on the keyboard. It wants to know what face or sketch regions do I want to extrude, so that is my circle. Click on my circle. I can change my depth, how tall I want that to be. Let's go ahead and we'll make it 75. I can hit enter. Now, because I'm looking directly down on top of it, I cannot tell if there's any depth, so I can right click and drag my mouse, and now I can see that I have a 3-dimensional object. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and accept that extrude there. We're now going to use a new tool here called the shell. Now notice when I hover over shell up here, there does not appear to be a shortcut. So some of these have shortcuts, some of these do not. So we're going to click the shell tool. What that's going to do is it says faces to remove. So it's going to create a shell. If I click this face here, I'm going to get what looks to be like a cup. Okay, I can change my shell thickness. I could change this to 5 millimeters, and that is going to adjust the thickness of this wall. I could change this to any number I want here, as long as it fits within the 50 millimeter diameter that I have. So I could not do 51. It will give me an error. Errors show up as red, red. All of this red means there's something wrong. So I can change that back. So we'll just leave this at 2.5 so that we have room to do the next task. So I can accept that extrude. Again, notice over here your feature tree will start to build with all of the steps you are taking. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a fillet. A fillet is a soft, rounded edge. This one does have a keyboard shortcut, which is Shift F. What do I want to fillet? So notice that the first thing on all of these tools over here is asking you where do you want to apply that feature. Okay, so I'm going to apply this to this outermost ring. I have control over the radius. I can change it to 1. And I can see that I'm getting a rounded edge here. I could change this to 4, and I get a much more rounded edge. I could change it to 10, and it's very rounded. Okay, so let's go with 2.5. Okay, so now I have a rounded edge on the top of my cup. Let's go ahead and apply another fillet to the bottom. So we're going to add a fillet. We're going to select this. Selecting this entire face will do the same thing in this particular function. If I had other elements in here, it would do something different, which we'll see that in a later example. So this outside edge, I'm going to click on that. We'll change this fillet to 1. so that this, oh, not 21, 1, so that this cup doesn't roll around so much, but it is a nice soft edge. Okay, now notice I am constantly moving my camera around after applying things so that I can see it from different angles and really understand what's going on. Alright, so for our cup, we're going to be done with that. Now down here in the bottom left, it looks as though my video is kind of cutting off a little bit, but down here in the bottom left you have a plus sign that says Insert New Tab. We're going to click that, and we're going to create a part studio. So that's going to give us a new tab along the bottom here. You saw that on our scavenger hunt page. You had the lesson 1.1, you had the violin, and then you had the scavenger hunt. So we're just adding new tabs along the bottom. So let's do a new sketch, which is Shift S. Click on the top plane again, and let's click that In button for normal too. We're going to create a rectangle. Rectangle here, we have a corner rectangle. Just to show you, if I click a corner rectangle, it's going to start in the corner and drag across. Okay. I can also do the letter R, which is a center point rectangle. So depending on what we're designing, sometimes it's easier to do a corner rectangle or a center point rectangle. Notice again that I have the white box popped up. Let me do that one more time. On the corner rectangle, I'm going to click once, let go, and drag my mouse, and then click again to set the other corner. So now I can type in, let's go 100 and 100. So yes, we made a square using the rectangle tool. Alright, I'm going to accept that sketch. I'm now going to extrude this, which is Shift E. Click on my entity that I want to extrude. We'll make this 100. We'll make this a cube. Accept this. And now I'm going to right click and rotate. So I now have a cube. So now this time what we're going to do is we're going to put a new sketch on top of this block instead of on an actual plane. So I can use the face of an object to make a new sketch. So I'm going to do Shift S. I'm going to click on, if you notice you hover over your mouse, anything that turns orange you can select. So I'm going to go on top of this here. Notice my sketch plane is on the top of the box. I'm going to hit the N key. And this time we're going to put some circles on it. So I'm going to hit the C key. And I'm going to do like a circle here. I'm going to click and do a circle here. Just make sure that these aren't overlapping in any way. And let's do maybe one more larger circle right there. Good enough. Okay. So I'm going to accept that sketch. I'm going to do 3 different things with these circles here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to extrude. So that's Shift E. I'm going to click on one of my circles. Now notice I have the option to actually select this negative space region, and that's what it would look like. It's excluding the circles. That's not what I want to accept. So I want to delete this face of sketch 2, and I actually want to select inside of the circle. So you just got to make sure you're being super precise with where you're clicking. And I have options up here. I can make a new shape. I can add it to an existing shape. I can remove, or I can intersect. So we're going to add this extrusion to our original cube here. Let's leave it at 25, and we're going to click the check mark. So now notice down here I have one part that includes these 2 things. Okay. You'll also notice that after we did that, our sketch, those other 2 circles, are gone. So I'm going to click on the eyeball here to show that sketch again, because I want to use it another time. So I'm going to extrude again, so Shift E, and I'm going to click on this larger circle. This larger circle, instead of add, I'm going to remove. So what that's going to do is it's going to turn it into a hole. And if I drag this down, you will see that it's going to remove 25 millimeters. Okay. I can also choose, on where it says blind, I can say up to face. If I now, it wants me to click on a face, I went to the bottom here, and I'm going to click on this face. And what that's going to do is that's going to make that hole go all the way through my block, because it's ending at this bottom face. So I am going to click that check mark. So I have an extrusion on top of, and I have a hole going all the way through. And let's take this one, let's Shift E, click on this circle, and now let's remove, but instead of going all the way through, I'm going to just take this arrow and drag it down somewhere, and you'll notice that your depth number changes. So I can accept that sketch, and I have this hole, which you can see does not go all the way through. This hole does go all the way through, and this hole is added on top. Let's do one more sketch on a different side of this. So I'm going to do Shift S, and click this side. Hit the N key, and let's use this polygon tool. You have two polygons. You have an inscribed or a conscribed. Just depends on how we're measuring things. This one, if you see the dotted lines, it's drawing a circle. That's how we are determining the diameter of this polygon. I can click a second time and add or remove sides to this polygon. Let's just leave it at 6. Okay, I'm going to do another one over here, and we'll make this a triangle. So I'm just clicking a second time. All right, so we're going to accept those two sketches. Now with these two, we are going to extrude. So click that extrude button. We are going to make a new part. And I'm going to accept that. So you notice it changed colors, and you also notice on your part list we now have a new part. I can hide each of those parts individually. Okay. And my sketch turned off again, so let's go over here, turn that back on. Let's extrude this triangle, and let's extrude that. And this time, instead of using the up to face, let's just drag this direction and click a remove. Okay. So now let's do something a little more specific. Let's add a new tab and a new part studio. Let's make a new sketch. Click on that top and click N. I'm going to start to go a little faster because I'm hoping that you understand those keyboard shortcuts. We're going to make a rectangle. We'll make this rectangle 100 by 100. We're going to extrude this rectangle. So right now, instead of accepting the sketch, I can hit Shift E, and since I only have one element here, if I hit Shift E, it's going to go ahead and assume that I want to extrude what I just made. So we're going to make this 50. So I have this rectangular prism here. I'm going to put a sketch on top of this face. Some circles. So I'm going to click and drag a circle. I want this one to be 25. The rest of them do not matter. So I'm going to come over here and set a circle. Now I'm going to hold Shift down when I do this middle circle, because if I don't hold down Shift, you'll see this orange line pop up, which means this circle is going to be attached to this center point here, and I don't want that just yet. So I'm just going to drop another circle here. Same thing this direction. If I don't hold down Shift, you'll see this orange constraint pop up. I don't want that. So I'm going to hold down Shift. That'll go away. And just because this dimension box is here, I'm going to come over here first. I'm going to come here, and we're just going to draw 9 random circles, with the exception of the first one that I did dimension. Okay, so now I want all of these circles to be the same as this circle. So I'm going to hit Escape to get rid of my circle command. I'm going to click on this first circle here. I'm going to hit the E key, which is going to do the equal command. And I'm going to click on my parent. And that will then make this circle equal this circle. So the equal command stays lit. So if I click on this one first, and then go back and click on the parent, click on the child, click on the parent, click on the child, click on the parent. What this is going to do is save us lots of time if we ever have to resize this design. Whoops, I did not click. So I'm going to click on this one, go back and click on this one. Okay, so all of these are now 25. So to show you how this works, I'm going to hit the Escape key, and that's going to get rid of that command. If I double click on this 25, and let's say I make it 28, all of these circles are going to resize. Click on this and go to 5. All of these circles now resize. So that is going to save me a lot of time if I needed to change my design later. Instead of, if I have just dimensioned all of these individually to 25, if I wanted to change them all, I would have to change each of these individually to whatever number I want. Okay, so now I need to line these up. So what I have to do is, using that dimension key, so I hit the D key, I'm going to hit the center point. I need to decide how far away from this edge this center point needs to be, and how far away from this edge this point needs to be. So I'm going to click on this point. I'm going to click on this edge, and I'm going to drag my mouse over here. And it's going to give me a dimension line. Now, because Andy and I spent hours and hours doing math yesterday, we decided it was 18.75 given our numbers. Okay, so that is, this point is 18.75 millimeters away from this edge. I'm going to click on this point again. I'm going to click on this edge, bring this up, and I'm going to do the same, 18.75. So now notice how this circle is turned white. That means this circle is fully constrained, meaning it has to be this far away from here, it has to be this far away from here, and it has to be this diameter. This circle cannot move anymore. All of these other ones can still move because they are completely independent of everything else on the page, which we're going to fix that. So now that I have this circle, I can align these two circles with this one vertically, or horizontally, excuse me. So I'm going to click on this point. I'm going to click the H key, which switches this tool to a horizontal command or horizontal constraint. Notice how when I clicked on this center point, it brought it up in line with this. And this is still selected. I can click on this one here. Ooh, there we go. So the tool is still selected. Now those are horizontally constrained, meaning if I try and drop this down, it will not pull it up or down. It can only go horizontal. Okay, so let's do the same thing with these over here. I'm going to hit the V key for a vertical constraint. So I've got this point, and I want it to snap to this point, snap to this point. So now, same idea. These can only go vertically. They cannot go horizontally now. And I'm going to undo that. If you saw that little orange line pop up, there is a reason that popped up. Okay, so now what I need to do, since this one can go vertically, I need to constrain it to this bottom line. So I'm going to hit that dimension key, click this dimension, click this bottom edge, and that number is 18.75. Notice how this one turned completely white, right? So let's take this center circle, and if I drag it to the origin point, notice how the origin point pops up orange. This will now be fully constrained, meaning it cannot move. So I can use this point to do multiple things. I can hit the horizontal command. I can click on this. I can click on this. I can click on this, and I can click on this. This one is now fully constrained because it has a vertical constraint here and now a horizontal constraint here. So let's do a vertical constraint for this point and this point, this point and this point. Okay, this one does not have a horizontal constraint yet. So we're going to do a vertical, hold on, we need to do a horizontal constraint. There we go. Since this one is fully constrained, I can do this one to this one, and I can do this one to this one. So I want to come over here and see my constraints. Okay, so this doesn't have any vertical constraints yet. I can do a vertical constraint on this to this. I can do a vertical constraint on this to this, but they're still blue because I have not determined how far away they are from this edge. So I'm going to do a dimension command, hit this center point, right side edge, and do 18.75. Notice how all of those turned white. Everything is fully constrained. So I now am going to hit this green check mark. So what I have now is this shape. Okay. So let's hit that extrude button, Shift E. So this is that negative space I talked about earlier. I can click on that outside edge and it's going to give me this block with the circles removed. Okay, and if I hit new, let's change this to 5 and hit that button. It's like a little plate on top of that rectangular prism. Okay, let's say I don't actually want that. Let's go back to my extrude 2. Let's double click on that. And we actually want to add this to make it just one solid part with this block here. Okay, we would hit the add command, and that is now like that. Okay, but that's not actually what I want to do with this. So I'm going to double click this. And instead of face of sketch 2, I'm actually going to select just the circles. I'm going to select all 9 of these circles. And what I want is, I don't want to go up. I want to actually remove them from the original block. So notice this arrow is pointing up, and that red has appeared, and it says selected tools and targets do not intersect. So that means the plate is actually on top of this rectangular prism. So I would need to turn this arrow down. So I can either drag this arrow down, or if that arrow is pointing up, I can click this arrow right here, and it's just going to flip it down for me. So now my numbers are going the right direction. And let's say, since that was 50, let's go 40 millimeters down. And let's accept that, which means those holes do not go all the way through, and they set just like that. Okay. So now let's add a fillet to make this nice and soft on the edge. So I'm gonna hit that Shift F. Let's do a 2 millimeter radius. And if I just click the outside edge, notice it's only going to do that one line. I could click this outside edge, right? So let's get rid of those, and I can show you that if I click this negative space, not only is it going to apply it to the outside edge, but it's also going to apply it to this inner circle too. So then it's also going to soften those holes. And we can accept that sketch there. Okay. Any idea what we have made? I'm going to right click and I'm going to rename this. So I can rename these part studios down here, just like you saw with Violin and Scavenger Hunt. I can call this Tic-Tac-Toe. So this would be the board for a tic-tac-toe game. You have now finished the practice samples. You can continue on to the next assignment listed in Schoology or Onshape.